let's start with buyers, right?
Let's
I
start
think
with the buyer. Okay. Well, hang on. Let me do my job, and then I'll let you do yours. Okay. Otherwise, there's no reason for me to be here. I have to cash a check somehow, right? So each of you selected a buyer and a seller. Let's start
Yes.
with the buyers. Jim Duquette, is it okay if JB goes first since
Of
apparently he's going to
course.
wet his
Of
pants if he
course.
doesn't? Okay,
He's
let's go.
first in the
JB, who
rundown,
was
so
the
he should
buyer
go
that you
first.
selected?
so. I selected the Chicago Cubs, and I selected the Cubs because, first of all, for whatever reason, the Cubs haven't extended Jed Hoyer yet, and I'm really not sure I understand why. Because he really has done a tremendous job in building this team, in hiring Craig Counsell, and building up the farm system. He's put this organization in a really good spot. And if I were the owner, I would have taken care of him. But they haven't. And by the way, there's other jobs out there. The Nationals job is going to be available. So if they don't want Jed, he'll land on his feet in 10 minutes. But I also think that when you make the Tucker trade, right, you're going for it. And now there's no, you have to just pedal the metal now, right? Because you gave up a long-term Cam Smith to do it. So yeah, you have to do it. So what has been intriguing to me is how involved they've been on all of the best starting pitchers that are available on this market. And that's why I kind of picked them, because they've had a lot of conversations with Mike DiBartolo, the interim GM of the Washington Nationals, who, look, the Nationals were expected to trade Kyle Finnegan and Mike Soroka, right? Those are the two guys that they were expecting. However, at the end of the day, Mike DiBartolo has made it very clear to teams that he will listen on Mackenzie Gore. Now, I want you to think about DiBartolo's position. It's an interim GM. There has been word in the industry that they're going to hire a president of baseball ops. That doesn't mean DiBartolo couldn't keep this job as the full-time GM under the president of baseball ops, right? So if they go out there and get, say, Eric Niehander from Tampa to be the president, he could keep DiBartolo in that position. In order to keep it, what does he need to do at the deadline? I think he needs to make a splash. I think he needs to show the world that he can make that big deal. Like, you trade Soroka, you trade Finnegan, you get a couple of prospects. That's not going to move the needle. You trade Gore, it's going to move the needle. Well, Jed Hoyer's had a lot of conversations with him, and there's a good matchup between the Cubs and the Nationals in a Gore trade. And look, the Lerner family's not going to do another long-term deal here with Boris on Gore. They got burned on Corbin. They got burned on Strasburg. They're still paying Max Scherzer to pitch for Toronto. They're just not going to do it. So if they're not going to sign Gore, then at some point you trade him. So here's a chance for DiBartolo. So I think that's interesting. The other thing is the Cubs continue to stay engaged with the Miami Marlins about both Sandy Alcantara and Edward Cabrera. So I find that kind of fascinating as well, because if I was sitting there in the shoes of Peter Bendex, who's done a great job so far in building this team up, that's a good team to want to chase Alcantara. So I guess, Duke, when I'm looking at the Cubs, and the reason I wanted to talk to them, that it just seems they really want to go big at this trade deadline. And although Suarez has been mentioned, everything that I've heard over the weekend was they're chasing the best starting pitcher they can get. Mitch Keller, another name of Pittsburgh, they're trying to get him for one of those minor league outfielders. So I don't know. I just kind of feel like they are primed for a Thursday splash.
Marlins their name keeps popping up for them, right? Either Alcantara or Cabrera, Kelly and Gallen, like all these names. I don't think Joe Ryan's going to be moved, but Ryan's name does get mentioned. I think Cubs are in on one of those guys for sure. There's a couple other teams that are in on him, but Cubs 100%. They seem like and really that's the biggest need. I think you could see them potentially as a third base, but it doesn't seem likely at this point. Shaw's been playing better overall, so I think I can't wait to see what the move turns out to be. Right, for the Cubs, they are acting like that they're all in, and it sounds like they've got ownership to jump all in too, from an ownership from a financial side of things. So we'll see.